Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video. And as you can see there, I have 4 little photos of our puppy playing with his boomer ball. And it is a ball that I ordered off the internet, and I was looking for something really tough that he couldn't chew up. And so I found these balls that are made of a really super hard plastic, and they're made not to be picked up but to be herded. And since he is Australian Shepherd and wants to herd things anyway, I went ahead and ordered it, and it's just turned into his favorite toy. You say the word boomer ball, and yeah, he wants to go and play it. And so I wanted to go ahead and document that. And the pictures are pretty, they're kind of bland. There's not a lot of color in them because it's just the blue of the boomer ball, the stubble in the wheat field, and then the black dog. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more color into my background. And I took a piece of watercolor paper and spritzed it with some water, and then I'm putting down some of this distress ink in blue, and that's going to kind of pick up on the ball itself. And then I thought, well, what other colors am I going to use? So I decided to go with orange, which is the complementary of blue, and it also goes well with the stubble of the wheat field. I'm just going to put that around and some splatters. And it wasn't as bright as I wanted, and I had this sticker pack of arrows that I wanted to use, and it had a lime green arrow on it as well. So I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and put lime green on this. And it's not a color combination that I normally would use, so I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. So I made sure everything was dry pretty much before I added the next color so they wouldn't get all muddy. And I found this citrusy green, and I thought, oh, am I ruining this right now? And I'm kind of trying not to put too much color, but then I actually kind of liked it. So it was kind of a pleasant surprise there. And this is great. I could go ahead and use this as my background as is, but I wanted to give even more texture. And I didn't want to do too much of a circle theme, even though this is a layout about a ball. I thought about kind of using big circles on the layout or making my photographs into circles. So instead of doing that, I decided to just use a few texture dies that had circles on them. So I'm pulling out this first one, and I'm using some Distress Oxide and just putting that kind of over the orange areas. And this gives a good impression because it is an ink pad. I didn't have any colors that would match the blue or the citrus, so I used the liquid ink to stamp those. And I knew when I did it, using this liquid ink like this isn't going to give you a crisp impression like an ink pad would, but it still gives some extra texture. And so I'm liking that. Just placing the blue in a few areas, and then going and I'm going to put a little bit more of that green on there. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise. And like I said, it's not a very distinct impression, but it does lend some more texture in that background. And this stamp here, I wanted to use it, but it looked like it was dirty from a previous time. I didn't want to take a chance of getting black ink onto my background paper. So I'm just going to clean that up and let it dry off here for a little bit before I use it. And here are the arrow stickers I was talking about. This is a really old pack of stickers. It's been in my stash for a long time that I wanted to use. I also wanted to use those orange tile letters, and I try really hard to get them onto this layout, but it doesn't wind up working. But I went ahead and left the footage in so you can kind of see my thought process and how this layout came about. So here are the tiles, and I really love that bright orange, and I thought it would go good with the blue, but once I put them over the top of the blue, it made them look a little bit darker, a little bit too dark for me. So now I'm moving them kind of over on the white area because I like how crisp and sunny that looks, but then it kind of throws off the layout a little bit. but I thought, well, maybe I can make it work. So I go ahead and I map my photos on a little bit of light orange. And since there was quite a bit of blue, I decided I wanted to kind of cover up some of that blue. So I'm going to put my photos right across that blue area. And then I was trying to get these tile letters up into the white portion, and it still just wasn't really working for me. So I decided to go ahead and do a secondary mat of white around my photos just to cover up a little bit more of that blue so that my layout didn't get too dark. And I think here's where I set those aside, and I'm really liking this. And I decided, you know what, you don't have to use those tile letters if you don't want to. So I did still want to use these arrows because I really wanted to show the movement. And I put it down, but again, like the tile letters, the see-through aspect of the stickers just wasn't working for me. So I'm going to go ahead and mount them on some white. And the arrows just really help show how much he just runs around in circles around the field, just hurting that ball all over the place. And he just gets, you know, such enjoyment out of doing that. So I really kind of wanted to show that motion in the layout and how chaotic he is, just running all around the field barking at this ball and nipping at it. So those are the two biggest arrows on there, and then they have some smaller silver arrows that I use. And I didn't use either of the pink or red, any of those arrows on that sheet, so I'm going to set that sheet aside, and I should be able to get one more layout out of it using the red and pink arrows. But I needed more arrows on here, so I went through my acrylic stamps and just pulled out everything with arrows. Here I have, I think that's a Scraptastic row of arrows that I go ahead and put in a couple places in blue ink. Then I have this one, which I think is from the dollar bin at Michael's. And it's got kind of this doodled arrow that's kind of curved. I go ahead and put that in orange. And I'm just going to kind of scatter those throughout the ink in the background just to add a little bit more movement through that. These are some little chevron arrows. I'm trying to put some of the arrows pointing into the photos, some of them up, some of them down. And yeah, just really trying to show that movement on paper. So I'm liking how it's going, but it needs a little bit more texture. So I have these arrows, which are like brads, and it's been a long time since I've used any of these, so I was like, whoa, I'm going to pull out some really old stuff here from the early 2000s. And I have some silver and some white and some orange and little tiny black arrows. So I'm really liking those orange ones. Not too sure about the silver and the white. And I just kind of look at how I want to position those. And I think, you know what, before I get too much further, since I'm not going to use those orange tile letters, I better find another sticker sheet to do my title with. So I just choose some plain white ones. And this one, even though it's still subtle on the layout, I just like that it's a little bit smaller than those tiles were, and you know, it's not see-through. So I just spell out Boomer Ball, and then I'm trying to figure out which way I want to position it. And I like that there's some kind of blank space in the photos, and I decide that I want to just put it right through the middle. So now that I kind of know where my title is going to go, I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photos, and then I can put some of these arrows down. So you can see how big Henry has gotten since the first couple layouts. He is now 10 months old, and this is only, I think, the third layout I've done of him, so I am like way behind. So I'm going to be skipping around in his age. You know, I have some other cute puppy photos that I do want to scrapbook and stuff, but this one I was just inspired to do. So when I'm inspired, I just go with it. I don't necessarily do things in chronological order. And yeah, so he's gotten to be about, I think he's got to be at least 60, 65 pounds now, because he definitely weighs more than a 50-pound bag of flour, that's for sure. And sometimes he wants to be in the tractor with me and he can't quite jump up there, so I lift him up there, and yeah, he's a big boy. So I go ahead and I get that title position, and like I said, it's subtle and you can see it a little bit better in person, but I kind of like that. I want the arrows and the photos to be kind of what you really see. So I'm liking having this arrow pointing into the beginning of the title because it is kind of subtle. The arrow on each side just kind of draws your attention to it a little bit more. So I like that, and I take that other orange arrow off and decide to put something else down there. And I have these little tiny black arrows, and I decide to put those all around. It kind of brings out the black of the dog and integrates that into the layout. So I'm just gonna poke holes, and it's been a while since I put brads all over my page, so that was kind of fun. And I think each of those little arrows is kind of like a different shape, which was kind of fun as well. So we're getting close here. I was just a little bit indecisive as to how many of those black arrows to put on there and where to put them. So I'm liking this and realizing that I probably will need to mount this on a colored cardstock because it just kind of, the white just kind of runs off the edge, and so I kind of want to frame it with some extra color. And so as you can see, I'm just kind of waiting there for some glue to dry. And then I go to my stash and I find a piece of bright blue paper to kind of pull that blue out. And I like that. It just kind of frames it and keeps your eye into the center of the layout where the photographs are. And then I decide to probably put one more arrow on there. So I put one more of these silver ones. And I don't want to put too many above or below those orange arrows because that's where I'm going to do all my journaling. And I'm just going to use a black pen for that. And you can see I put my journaling on. And then that is my finished layout. So I really love how it turned out. It does give that sense of movement with all those arrows and kind of documents his favorite toy there. And it was fun to be able to use a lot of my stamps and brads and some old stickers from my stash. So that's always good when we can use up quite a bit of our stash. And so that is the final layout. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to be having more layouts with him and kind of trying to get caught up with his scrapbook album. And if you have any questions on anything that I used or any of the techniques I did here, just leave me a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, it's got a mesh thing around. Okay, here. Let me get the mesh thing off for you. You've got your own somewhat indestructible, tough toy. Okay, let's get the... It's supposed to be... There you go. There, that's yours, buddy. Destroy that one. He knows what to do.